looking at some common reasons why your previously working Dexter WCN washer is no longer working. If it's not powering on, you're going to want to first check the resettable circuit breaker back here. Usually you can just reset them, but you're going to want to verify that you have the same voltage from this leg to ground and from this leg to ground. If not, you need to replace the circuit breaker. You can also verify the voltage at the bus bar here. If you check the back of the machine, you'll see this one's rated for 208 to 240 at 3-phase. With that in mind, you should be getting from L1 to ground 110, from L2 to ground 110, from L1 to L2 220. L3 can be either 110 or 220 to ground, depending on whether or not you're running a phase generator. And L1 to L3, all of that should be 220. After you've verified that you're getting the right power, you're going to want to go ahead and check the door switches. That's a very common problem with these not starting. If it accepts your coins or your button here and it just doesn't engage here, usually the solenoid here has failed, or if you hear it click but it doesn't start, it comes down to the door switches here. It's a common problem where this will overextend and you'll wind up with this piece basically sitting like that rather than engaging the switches. We do have a separate video for adjusting the door lock mechanism here. Once you've got that squared away and it shuts the lock, closes the switch, if you're just not draining, the most common problem is generally a blockage in the line. You can pull this hose off here, make sure there's no blockage in the hose or in the drain valve or the drain pipe beyond. If all of that is clear and you're still not draining, you're going to have to get a plumber out and snake your lines behind the machine. If it won't fill, first make sure you actually have water pressure at the back of the valves. Beyond that, you can check the resistance across each solenoid. They should be about 0.6 ohms across each one with the wires off of it. You can also check power at the solenoids. Like if you have pressure, the resistance checks out okay, but it's not filling during cycle. Make sure when it should be calling for water, you're getting 110 volts, either from the hot lead to ground or from the hot lead to neutral here. If the machine is starting and filling but not spinning either in low or high speed, it usually comes down to the contactors or the motor itself. With the machine powered on, you can manually engage the contactors. It should spin the motor left and right and in high speed. If it does all of that, when you push it manually but not during the cycle, it's generally the contactor itself is the problem. You can go ahead and replace that. If you push this down manually and are still getting nothing out of the motor, it's generally the motor that's the problem. Not always. The easiest way to verify it would be to, if you have another WCN next to it, to basically use this machine to power that machine's motor. The motor's hooked up here. You can extend the lines from here to the other motor and see if when this machine is in cycle, it engages the other motor. Those are the most common problems we run into with these machines.